I scan the job listings, the glow of my laptop casting a pale light in the dimness of my dorm room. Pages filled with internships and research opportunities blur before my eyes, but none spark that flicker of excitement within me. I seek something different, something that calls to the wild part of my soul, aching for summer's unrestrained embrace. A listing catches my attention. It reads, "Tree planter, required, strong back, love of nature, willingness to work in remote locations." The forest. It promises hard labor, but also solitude, growth both personal and ecological. A chance to contribute, hands deep in the earth, where I've always felt most alive. My fingers hover, then click. Application sent. Days pass. A blur of final exams and coffee-fueled study sessions until an email arrives, terse and businesslike. "Congratulations, Samuel Hawkins." It begins. My heart beats faster. I'm hired. The day dawns bright and clear as I step off a bus at the edge of a dirt road leading into the forest. My backpack feels heavy with essentials but light with anticipation. Each breath tastes of pine and possibility. I follow a narrow trail marked by the occasional boot print and the distant call of birds overhead. Underfoot, pine needles cushion my steps and the scent of earth fills my nostrils. This is where I'll spend my summer, surrounded by towering trees, the sky a rare glimpse between branches. There's no turning back now. Not that I'd want to. Ahead lies the forest, waiting for me to join its timeless dance of growth and renewal. My hands will plant saplings, my sweat will mingle with the soil, and I'll leave a piece of myself behind in the form of living, breathing green. I'm ready. Let the planting begin. The roar of the helicopter blades cuts through the morning stillness, a mechanical dragonfly descending from the heavens. I'm strapped in beside Evelyn, her red hair whipped into a frenzy by the downdraft. The forest canopy below is a thick mat of green, dense and impenetrable. As we hover, my stomach churns not from fear, but anticipation. This is our daily descent, a routine as rhythmic as the seasons. Nancy, firm at the controls, guides us to a small clearing she's christened with skid marks over countless mornings. The chopper's belly kisses the ground, and without ceremony, I unbuckle and swing my legs out the door. My boots crunch on the mix of dirt and old leaves. Each step a declaration: here I am, ready to tend the wild. The helicopter ascends, leaving behind a dust devil that stings my eyes. Silence rushes in to fill the void, a heavy blanket over the world. I stand alone for a moment, watching the bird metal dwindle to a speck against the blue. Serenity wraps around me, a palpable presence among the trees, yet I feel its eerie twin isolation lurk in the shadows. I survey the land, my hand grazing the bark of a nearby trunk. It's rough, real. The forest breathes around me, an entity alive and whispering secrets I strain to understand. Sunlight dapples through leaves high above, a shifting mosaic on the forest floor. Somewhere, a branch snaps, a reminder that life thrives unseen in this verdant maze. Evelyn's figure pushes through the underbrush, a flash of fiery hair marking her trail. She moves with purpose, unfazed by the expansive solitude that both cradles and cages us. I follow, my own path weaving between saplings and ferns, mindful of the delicate balance beneath my feet. Time bends here, warping around each planted tree, every measured step. It's a dance of preservation, one I've chosen to join. My hands work methodically, planting future giants that will one day pierce the sky. Sweat beads on my brow, the salt sharp on my lips. Above, the forest canopy sways, an ancient audience to our efforts. As the day wanes, the light takes on a golden hue, filtering through the leaves in hushed reverence. I pause, chest heaving, and close my eyes. The forest's heartbeat thrums against my own, a symphony of rustling foliage and distant wildlife calls. The piece is profound but laced with an undercurrent of something else, something watchful, a sense of being observed from just beyond sight, where the Bigfoot legend roams unchecked by logic. My eyes snap open but reveal only the expected. Trees standing sentinel, the understory their quiet domain. Eventually, the familiar thwop-thwop of approaching rotor signals the end of another day. Nancy returns, punctual as ever, to collect us from our labor. We ascend back into the sky, leaving the forest to its nocturnal secrets, the eerie whispers of what remains unseen. And tomorrow, we'll do it all again, the cycle unbroken, the wilderness waiting. I swing my legs out of the helicopter, boots hitting the soft earth with a muted thud. Evelyn's already there, her red hair a vivid streak against the verdant backdrop, hands deftly prepping saplings for their new homes. We move in sync, a practiced rhythm honed by weeks of shared toil, each step and bend choreographed by necessity and repetition. The air fills with the scent of pine and damp soil, rich and invigorating. I inhale deeply, letting it flood my senses, tethering me to this moment, this purpose. Around us, Rick surveys our progress, his gaze analytical yet tinged with an unmistakable pride. His clipboard is an extension of him, a testament to our collective endeavor. Further off, Nancy circles back, the chopper a dragonfly skimming the canopy. The thrum of its engine fades into the forest's vastness, a reminder of the thin thread connecting us to civilization. She hovers just long enough to ensure we're safe, her vigilance a silent vow spoken through every precise maneuver. There's a rustle to my left, and I glance over to see Dennis, the local ranger, emerge from the shadows. He moves with the assurance of one who knows every hidden trail, every secret the woods keep. His nod is an unspoken conversation, years of experience lending weight to the gesture. I press on, the repetition of digging and planting an echo of my own heartbeat. Beside me, Evelyn works tirelessly, her ambition rooted as deeply as the trees we place into the ground. We share no words, but our glances are paragraphs, the understanding between us as clear as the brook babbling nearby. The sun arcs overhead, casting dappled light through the leaves, painting the forest floor in a mosaic of shadow and sunbeam. Sweat trickles down my spine, and I swipe at it absently, muscles singing with exertion. This is our dance, our unvoiced pact with the woods. Give life, respect silence, repeat. Ashley would love this, I think, the image of her bright laughter flitting through my mind like a bird taking flight. But she's miles away, her spirit of adventure undiminished by distance. In her stead, I carry the weight of her enthusiasm, letting it bolster me through each movement. As daylight begins to retreat, casting long fingers of twilight in its wake, we gather our tools. There's a comfort in the ritual, the steady hum of a day nearing its close. We know these woods now, they hold our sweat, our laughter, our whispers. And as the first stars prick the evening sky, I feel the camaraderie. A bond not just with my fellow workers, but with the very earth we've tended. We'll ride the skies home soon, the day's labor etched into our skin, the forest's breath mingling with our own. Tomorrow we'll return, our presence as much a part of the routine as the rising sun or the flight of the hawk. Together, in this secluded haven, we plant more than trees, we sow trust, friendship, and a shared reverence for the wild. A scream slices through the stillness, a sharp distress call that sets my heart hammering against my ribs. The forest's calm facade shatters, and every rustling leaf seems to whisper danger. I pivot on my heel, scanning the dense thicket for any sign of movement, any hint that might reveal Evelyn's location. Adrenaline surges like whitewater rapids through my veins. There's no time for hesitation. With a practiced motion, I snatch the bear spray from my belt, the canister familiar and cool in my grip. My breath comes fast, fogging in the crisp air as I push through ferns and underbrush, each step deliberate, avoiding dry twigs and loose stones that could betray my presence. A woodpecker's insistent tapping fades into the background as my senses heighten, straining for the slightest sound out of place. The earthy scent of pine needles and damp soil fills my nostrils, but it's the faint tang of fear that sharpens my focus. I'm not just Samuel Hawkins, student of environmental science. I am a guardian of this wild space, where every shadow could conceal a friend or a beast. The weight of responsibility anchors me, even as my mind races with possibilities. I move with swift caution, eyes peeled for any sign of disturbance, ears tuned for the echo of Evelyn's voice. Each step carries me deeper into the unknown, ready to face whatever lurks beyond the next veil of greenery, driven by the need to find her, to ensure she's safe. I round a dense thicket and halt. Evelyn's backpack lies discarded against a tree, its contents spilled like the innards of a gutted fish. My heart lurches. She never parts with her gear. It's as much a part of her as her fiery hair and indomitable spirit. The map she meticulously charted this morning peeks out from beneath a crumpled water bottle, its edges stained with soil. Panic prickles at the base of my skull. I crouch, scanning for tracks, for any sign she left willingly. But the earth tells a story of struggle, of hasty movement. Boot prints are etched deep into the loam, directionless, chaotic. A shiver courses through me, cold despite the exertion that has slickened my brow with sweat. I straighten, bear spray poised, my gaze sweeping the silent watchers, towering pines and sentinels of spruce that hold their breath. Their shadows stretch toward me, grasping with dark fingers that seem to whisper of hidden dangers. I fight to keep my breathing steady, but each inhale is sharper than the last, each exhale a foggy testament to rising dread. The possibility of a bear attack claws at the forefront of my thoughts, insidious and terrifying in its plausibility. Images flash unbidden, the crush of powerful jaws, the swipe of massive paws. We've all heard the stories, received the training, yet nothing truly prepares you for the moment the wilderness reclaims its dominion. My hands tremble, not with cold, but with the stark realization of our vulnerability. We are intruders here, in a domain governed by tooth and claw. The reminder weighs heavy on my shoulders as I steel myself, the canister of bear spray now a lifeline clutched within my grasp. Fear, once a distant specter, is now a tangible presence, coiling tight around my chest, and still, I must press on. Branches snap underfoot, their brittle bones breaking the heavy silence. I move with deliberate steps, eyes trained on the crimson spatters that mar the forest floor, a grotesque breadcrumb trail leading into the heart of darkness. My nostrils flare against the iron tang of blood, sharp and unwelcome. The air is thick with the musk of damp earth and pine resin, a natural perfume that does little to mask my growing unease. Wind murmurs through the leaves, a susurration that carries the faintest hint of something else, something out of place. A low, guttural sound ebbs and flows on the breeze, a noise that doesn't belong to any bird or beast I know. I push deeper into the thicket, muscles tense, ready to spring. The bear spray rests heavy in my hand, a feeble shield against the unknown. Each step feels like a betrayal of my instincts, which scream for retreat, but Evelyn's scream still echoes in my ears, goading me forward. Sunlight struggles to pierce the canopy above, casting mottled patterns on the ground that dance and twist with each rustling leaf. They play tricks on my eyes, suggesting movement where there is none. Or is there? My pulse throbs in my temples, a relentless drummer keeping time with my quickening pace. The strange noises grow clearer now, a series of grunts and whimpers that speak of distress. I cannot turn away, not when every fiber of my being is bound to the promise of finding her, of bringing her back from whatever fate has befallen her in these woods. Sweat beads along my hairline. Despite the coolness of the air, my breath comes in short, ragged pulls. I am close. I can feel it in the tightening of the atmosphere, the electric charge that whispers of an impending revelation. Whatever lurks ahead, I am resolute. The trail of blood beckons, and I follow, driven by a force that eclipses fear, the unyielding pull of camaraderie, and the desperate hope of salvation. The branches claw at my clothes as I push deeper into the unforgiving wilderness. The dense canopy above swallows the afternoon sun, casting an eerie green twilight across the forest floor. My heart hammers in my chest, each beat a drum of war against the silence pressing in from all sides. Evelyn's warning echoes in my mind, her voice tinged with the undeniable thrill of the unknown. She had seen signs, heard stories, but like me, skepticism kept her grounded. Yet here I am, propelled by something akin to destiny, or perhaps the raw curiosity that defines my academic pursuits. A misstep sends a stone skittering, its clattering descent through dead leaves sounding like a siren in the stillness. I pause, every muscle tensed, waiting for the forest to acknowledge my intrusion. But there is only the faint whisper of wind through the trees, mocking my apprehension. I press on, my senses hyper-aware. The scent of damp earth and decaying wood fills my nostrils, the lifeblood of this place. It's a pungent reminder that life and death coexist in an eternal cycle out here. I can almost taste the mossy air, thick on my tongue. The terrain begins to even out, and without warning, I emerge into a clearing. Sunlight, unhindered now, pours over me, and for a moment, I bask in the warmth, letting it seep into my bones. The reprieve is fleeting. It stands at the far edge of the open space, a dark silhouette against the vibrant backdrop of the forest. Large, imposing, unnatural in its stillness. There's a primal understanding that floods through me. This is no bear. This is the source of the disturbance. My breath catches in my throat, and my hand goes instinctively to the bear spray fastened to my belt. A gesture born of habit rather than any real hope of defense. My eyes strain to make sense of the form before me, to rationalize the sight into something known, something less terrifying. But the contours of reality have shifted, and fear, raw and unbidden, rises within me like a tide. Shock roots me to the spot, my mind scrambling to comprehend the impossibility before me. It's a colossal figure, its bulk a stark contrast against the delicate tracery of leaves and light. The creature's fur, a matted tapestry of earthy tones, ripples with each measured breath it takes. This is no figment of folklore, this is flesh and blood. A Bigfoot. The enormity of its presence engulfs the clearing. Up close, its height eclipses the tallest ferns, and the breadth of its shoulders dwarfs the stoutest trees at the forest's edge. Eyes, dark and fathomless, fix on me, and in their depths, I see an intelligence that chills my soul. It's as if every wild thing, every untamed spirit of the woodland, has been distilled into this single, formidable being. The smell of it, a potent mix of musk and soil, invades my senses, stoking the primal fire of fear within me. My heart throbs painfully against my ribs, a desperate drumbeat urging flight. Yet I'm transfixed, caught between awe and terror, witnessing what should not exist. I can feel the raw power emanating from the creature, a silent threat that speaks louder than any roar or growl. In its gaze, I am nothing but prey, small, vulnerable. A shiver courses through me, an instinctive recognition of my place in this ancient tableau. Here, where the rules of the civilized world hold no sway, I understand that I am at the mercy of something far greater, far older than myself. A low growl rumbles through the clearing, reverberating against my chest. The Bigfoot's eyes narrow, a deep intelligence flashing with something more primal, more dangerous. It steps forward, a towering mass of muscle and wild fur, each movement an assertion of its dominance. I can't believe it. This is happening. This is real. My disbelief morphs into pure terror as it raises its arms, massive hands clenching. Instinct seizes me. I fumble at my belt, fingers wrapping around the bear spray canister. There's no time to think, only act. I aim and press down hard, releasing a fiery cloud of chemicals into the space between us. The Bigfoot bellows, a sound that shakes leaves from trees and recoils, swiping at the stinging mist enveloping its face. This is my chance. I pivot on my heel, legs pumping as I bolt into the woods. Branches whip at my face, but I don't dare slow down. The thud of heavy footsteps follows, close enough to invoke visions of those great hands reaching out for me. Panic propels me faster, the need to escape eclipsing all else. Then, above the clamor of my own desperate breaths and the thunderous pursuit, I hear salvation, a helicopter. Its blades slice through the air, a mechanical whir of hope. A beam of light pierces the night, sweeping across the treetops, searching the darkness below. Adrenaline surges. I'm a live wire, every cell screaming with the urgency to survive, to reach that light. I push harder, legs burning, lungs raw, as the searchlight dances tantalizingly close, a beacon in the suffocating night. The Bigfoot's presence looms like a specter at my back, a reminder of what awaits should I falter. But the roar of the helicopter grows louder, drowning out the primitive fury behind me. Almost there. Just a little further. Salvation is just beyond the tree line, and I will not be denied. I burst through a thicket, branches clawing at my clothes, tearing the fabric and skin alike. My lungs sear with each gulping breath, the damp, musty scent of earth and rotting leaves filling my nostrils. Behind me, a guttural roar shatters the forest's tense silence. The sound is a tangible force, pushing me forward with renewed urgency. A mammoth shadow flits between the trees, its hulking form defying the natural stillness of the woods. The Bigfoot is close, too close. I can almost feel the weight of its gaze, heavy upon my back like a yoke. Its footsteps are a rhythmic thunder against the soft loam, an echo to the frantic pounding of my heart. My boot snags on a root, sending me sprawling into a bed of ferns. For a moment, the world spins, disoriented, but panic propels me back onto my feet. Every instinct screams that stopping means death or something worse. I don't glance back as I plunge deeper into the underbrush, branches swiping at my face, leaving thin lines of fire in their wake. The air grows thicker, humidity clinging to my skin, making each movement sluggish, every step a battle against nature itself. But I can't afford to slow down. I weave through the dense foliage, ducking low-hanging limbs and sidestepping gnarled tree trunks that seem to reach out for me, as if the very forest conspires with my colossal pursuer. Adrenaline surges, sharpening my senses. I hear the subtle shift of leaves, the crackle of twigs underfoot, the distant, relentless pursuit of the Bigfoot. It's a game of life and chase in which I am an unwilling participant, each stride a desperate bid for survival. But I am alone, so utterly alone in this verdant maze. There is no call for help that will not fall on deaf ears, no sign of civilization within this green prison. It's just me, the wilderness, and the creature whose mythos has haunted these woods long before my intrusion. I risk a fleeting look over my shoulder, catching only glimpses of dark fur moving with a grace that belies its monstrous size. It's a specter born from nightmares, yet undeniably real and mere steps behind. I turn away, focusing on the path ahead, where the unkempt tendrils of the forest reach out like fingers, as if to ensnare me in their grasp, to deliver me unto the legend that hunts with tireless determination. My lungs burn with each ragged breath, muscles screaming as I push beyond the brink of exhaustion. The ground blurs beneath my feet, a shifting tapestry of roots and rocks that threaten to trip me at every turn. Fear is a living thing inside me, clawing its way up my throat, urging me forward with a primal force I can't deny. The forest is a labyrinth, and I am Theseus without a guiding thread, racing against a minotaur whose roars shake the very air. Branches whip against my face, leaving thin lines of fire in their wake. My heart hammers, a drumbeat syncing with the heavy thuds of pursuit that seem to echo from all directions. I can't afford to slow down, not even to wipe the sweat stinging my eyes or to steady the tremble in my legs. There's a gnawing realization that this could be it. The end of the line. Panic tightens its grip, but the thought of succumbing to the beast propelling me into the unknown spurs a surge of defiance. Sudden clarity cuts through the haze of terror. I must outwit, not just outrun. With that thought, I veer sharply, risking a desperate gambit. I leap over a fallen log, skidding on loose soil, barely maintaining my footing. Behind me, a thunderous crash signals the creature's relentless advance. Just as darkness threatens to claim my hope, a new sound pierces the cacophony of the chase, a rhythmic chopping that grows louder, more insistent. It's distant yet unmistakable, the promise of salvation in the form of rotating blades cutting through the sky. A helicopter. My pulse quickens anew, not with dread but with a flicker of hope. I stumble forward, every step an invocation, a silent plea for rescue. The sound swells, filling the forest canopy, drowning out the nightmarish pursuit that has stalked my every move. The chopper draws nearer, its approach a mounting crescendo against the wild symphony of my escape. It's close, so achingly close. The rumble of its engines vibrates through the trees, becoming the heartbeat of my deliverance. I press on, driven by the sheer will to reach the clearing, to emerge from the shadows into the sight of my airborne savior. Leaves rustle violently above as the helicopter's downdraft assaults the canopy. I surge forward, lungs burning with exertion and the acrid taste of fear. The ground beneath me is a blur of earthy browns and greens, each step a desperate bid for survival. The Bigfoot's guttural growl resonates less now, its thunderous footsteps fading against the mechanical roar from above. The beast hesitates, I sense its primal confusion, the instinctive awe at the unnatural bird looming overhead. Its towering presence, once an unrelenting force of nature, falters, a fleeting hesitation in the face of humanity's airborne behemoth. I exploit the moment, pushing my battered body beyond its limits, weaving through the dense underbrush. The chopper's din crescendos, a symphony of salvation that drowns out the monster's pursuit. Its branches snap back in my wake, but they no longer threaten to ensnare. Instead, they mark the distance between predator and prey, growing ever wider. Muscles scream in protest, yet I do not yield. The clearing is in sight, my escape, my thin sliver of hope. Just a few more strides, the whirling of blades beckons, a siren call to the weary and hunted. And then the beast's presence vanishes, retreating into the depths of the forest. It yields to the machine's might, leaving me on the threshold of safety, gasping for air that no longer reeks of pursuit. The helicopter hovers, a guardian angel clad in steel, and I stagger into the open, collapsing to the ground as the last vestiges of adrenaline ebb away. I've escaped, barely, a harrowing flight from a legend made flesh, now nothing more than a memory that claws at the fringes of my mind, already fading into the realm of nightmares. Rotor blades slash the air with rhythmic urgency as I slump against the cold metal wall of the helicopter. The ground falls away, a receding tapestry of green that had nearly been my shroud. My breath comes in gasps, not just from exertion but from the sheer force of memory pressing down on me. I close my eyes and the beast looms behind my lids, massive, an enigma wrapped in fur. The way it moved through the trees with unsettling grace, a shadow that could swallow the world if it chose. The raw, primal power of it is etched into my retinas, an afterimage that quivers with life even in the dark spaces of my mind. The air inside the chopper is thick with the scent of oil and cold sweat. It clings to my skin, a visceral reminder of the flight. Not from danger, but from truth. The reality of what I've witnessed skates dangerously close to the surface of my thoughts, a truth as unwieldy as the creature itself. My fingers trace the strap of my seat harness, a lifeline that feels as fragile as the resolve knotting in my stomach. To speak of the Bigfoot is to unravel the very fabric of accepted reality, to invite ridicule, or worse, zealous curiosity. The forest's secrets are its own, a Pandora's box that, once opened, might never be closed. The throb of the helicopter's engine is a pulse that keeps time with my racing heart. With every mile put between myself and the encounter, the decision weighs heavier. Silence is a sanctuary, a shield against the chaos of consequence. But can I live with the silence? Can I carry this truth alone? I press a hand to my chest, feeling the thrum of my heartbeat, the echo of something profound and terrifyingly real. It was out there, beyond the reach of civilization's neat lines. And now, it's a part of me, an untold story, a secret that shadows every step I take from here on out. The rotors cut through the air, a relentless drone that muffles my inner turmoil. I lean into the vibration against my back, let it ground me as my mind races with the images I can't unsee, the sounds I can't unhear. The forest shrinks below. A shudder rolls through my body, not from the cold that slips through the seams of the helicopter, but from the memory of those deep-set eyes watching from the shadows. Evelyn's voice echoes in my head, her laughter, her calls for help, dissolving into the dense underbrush, swallowed by silence. How can I articulate the impossible without sounding insane? My gaze flits to Nancy at the controls, her focus unyielding, a guardian of the skies. She wouldn't understand, none of them would. They'd search for logic where there is none, explanations where only questions thrive. My breath fogs the perspex window, blurring the world into obscurity. It's easier this way, to let the mist erase the lines between what is known and what I now know. The creature's existence, it's a whisper in the wind, a tale too fantastical for the scientific journals or the evening news. I clench my jaw, the decision forming like a stone within me, heavy and final. Silence will be my confidant, my shield. I cannot betray the forest's trust, cannot risk the invasion of its sanctity by curiosity, seekers, and charlatans. Evelyn's absence will be a mystery unsolved, attributed to the wild's unforgiving nature. The weight of this secret presses down, a burden I must bear alone. But it's a choice I make, not just for myself, but for the Bigfoot, for the unspoiled wilderness that still holds wonder and terror in its depths. My fingers release the strap, my hands steadying as I look toward the horizon. Silence is my vow, the unspoken pact between me and the vast, unknowable wild. The chopper's blades slice through the air, rhythmic and steady, a drumbeat to the thrum of my pulse. The landscape below unfurls like a scroll, greenery stitched with the silver threads of rivers and streams, all untouched by the secret I cradle in the hollow of my chest. I press my forehead against the cool glass, the sensation grounding, as if the chill could seep into my veins and still the tumult within. With each passing mile, the forest recedes, becoming a patchwork quilt of dark emerald and earthen brown, my silent sentinel retreating into the folds of the earth. My fingers trace the condensation on the window, drawing lines that fracture and split, an echo of the fault lines carving through my resolve. What once felt solid now seems fragile, the truth a specter that hovers just out of reach. I draw a deep breath, tasting the tang of fuel and the sharp bite of altitude. It's a thin veil over the musk of pine and soil that clings to my clothes, a reminder of where I've been, what I've witnessed. The memory dances behind my eyelids, immense shadows moving with purpose, eyes that gleam with intelligence, and an encounter that defies explanation. It's an image that will not fade, engraved upon the canvas of my mind. Below, civilization creeps into view, grids of order and predictability. But there's a dissonance now, a sense of dislocation between the world out there and the one that pulses inside me. I am no longer just Samuel Hawkins, environmental science major. I am the keeper of a profound enigma, a testament to the extraordinary concealed within the ordinary. Home looms ahead, its familiarity a stark contrast to the upheaval of my inner landscape. I steel myself for the barrage of questions, the inquiries that I'll deflect with practiced ease. They'll expect grief, confusion, perhaps even guilt, but not this heavy cloak of secrecy that I've chosen to wrap around my shoulders. The helicopter touches down, a gentle kiss upon the tarmac, and I step onto solid ground. Each footfall is deliberate, a silent declaration. I am altered, my path irrevocably changed by a force as ancient as the pines. The Bigfoot's existence remains shrouded in mystery, and I, too, am now a vessel of secrets, forged in the crucible of the unknown.